I've been feeling this, for, I would say, a couple of months, but it was highlighted, and I think it hit its most extreme point on Sunday, which is the Eagles' shift from being what is perceived as an aggressive team to being sort of a conservative team, specifically on offense. And I understand, though I don't particularly agree, I understand why everyone got frustrated with how aggressive Sirianni was getting. I think it came to a head. We had a little bit of it at the Atlanta game, then it came to a head, I think, in the Jacksonville game, and everybody was just like, enough of this. Take the points, take the points, take the points, take the points. And then we have the game on Sunday, and we win it 22-10, and a great defensive performance. But it all sort of... It all came together in one game for me, and I think it's going to cost them. So the first thing is how they have Hurts playing, which I think it is costing them points overall, in that I feel like they have pushed him into an ultra-conservative way of playing. If you're not sure about it, don't throw it. If you're not sure about it, you don't throw it. If you're not sure about it, don't throw it. I'm watching Stafford last night, and that guy will just sling it sometimes. And I think how they have Jalen playing is probably a little over-conservative. But then... on Sunday, it's 4th and 4 inside the Packers 40, and we punt the ball. And then how many times did we have 3rd and long, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 7, and we just run the ball? We essentially we're not punting, but we're punting on that series of downs unless we get lucky with Saquon. And I think there's going to be a game where it's the 4th quarter and the Eagles are up 4 or they're up 6, where they should have been up 13 or 17. And we're going to put ourselves in a position where one drive can beat us in a game that we have outplayed the other team. And I know the final score looked pretty significant on Sunday, 22-10.
Could have easily been 29-10.
Could have, but it also was a big play away from being, 17-16 Packers, and I felt like after 4 turnovers, the defensive performance we had an opportunity to put our foot on their throat. And I just sort of I don't want to be Dan Campbell, but I think we need to regain some of that aggressiveness, some of that risk-taking. I think we're a little too risk-averse. And when you're getting into teams like we're going to play now, the Rams, and then probably the Detroit Lions, and then whoever, if we're lucky enough to play in the Super Bowl, I think we're going to need those points. And I think this ultra-conservative version of the Eagles needs to go away.
But this is what has gotten us here. And listen, from a long view, I understand what you're saying. I don't hear what you're saying and take it as, it's another criticism of this or trying to drum up that and be negative. I don't view it as that. I view it as a legitimate concern from your viewpoint. It's just that I'm not as concerned because my confidence level in this defense and this running game and the ability to come up with those handful or so plays in the passing game that will be the difference in the game. If we were sort of less of a team in some of those other areas, then I think there's a legitimate cause to be concerned about us moving forward because you would say, you know what, this is going to call for our quarterback or our passing game to do more. We're going to need more out of our passing game. We're going to need explosive plays. And if they were clicking, if they were operating with precision, I would be okay if you wanted to deviate from what is a strength of your team, which is running the football. But because the passing game is not operating like that, it's operating effectively enough that it hasn't hurt us. I'm okay with sticking with that formula because the formula, Spike, that has gotten us to where we are hasn't been about our passing game. In any other year, I think you can make an argument or this and that and the other, but for the 2024 Eagles and who they are, this team is about the running game, Saquon and that offensive line, and that defense. And the passing game is a complement to every other facet of this team. The passing game is a complement to our running game. Our running game is our best facet of our offense. Saquon is our best player on offense right now. No disrespect to Jalen, no disrespect to AJ, who 3 months ago I would have said AJ is the best player on the offense, quite frankly, the best player on the team. Doesn't mean he's still not a great player on this team. Just means for the 2024 Eagles, number 26 is the guy. Is the guy. So we start with him, and we play great defense. And we got a defensive coordinator that takes calculated risk. He knows where his strengths are and where his areas are where he can be exposed at, and he stays away from those things. And that's why this defense has far exceeded anyone's expectations this year and are playing as a unit the way that they are. When that's what the identity of your team is, and every year each team has its own identity, maybe the same organization, doesn't mean that's the same identity that team has. This team, the identity is the running game, which is O-line, Saquon, and that defense, man. And as long as we're doing that, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay for the most part.
Two quick things on that.
Okay.
First of all, I think we can still be defined by all those things and still be an aggressive football team. I think we can. But the two specific things that I would point to in what you said is the trust in the defense, to me, where somebody's like, you can look at it and say, I trust my defense, that's why I'm going to punt the ball back. I know I'm going to get it back anyway. I'm saying the reason I trust my defense is that 4th and 4 on their 39, if I don't get it, I know it's probably not going to cost me 7. Right. And that's why I'm going to go for it, because I trust that the defense, I'm not going to put them in that position.
The other way of looking
right?
At it, yes.
You know what I mean? And it's two sides of the same coin. You can look at it. It's really just how you look at the play, because we're both saying the same thing. We're both saying we trust our defense. My thing is, I'm looking at opportunities to put this game away and put distance between us and that other team. And then we can turn into the team that drains the life out of the game with a 9-minute drive. You know what I mean? Right. And then the second thing is, and we'll probably never know the answer to this, is I do think there is something to the ultra-conservative way we're calling the game that maybe has ultimately hurt the pass game and prevented us from getting in a rhythm. So you mentioned, like, the pass game isn't clicking. And I agree, it's not. Like, I've complained about it over and over and over again. But when you don't do it, like, can you even get that rolling if you're telling the quarterback, don't throw it, throw it away. If you don't see anything, run with it. Like, can you even get there if you're so risk averse that you're not throwing to your superstar players? Yeah. And that is, I understand everything you're saying. I really understand both sides of this. But the way that I'm looking at it is, this team is talented enough to put teams away early and not have us in a position at the end of the third quarter where we look like, they've turned the ball over 4 times, we've dominated the entire game, and wait a minute, we're up 6 points? Wait a minute, how'd that happen? And I worry against a team like the Rams or a team like the Lions that could back up, bite us.
Bite you. Yeah. Listen, I get that. I think you can do it as long as everybody buys in. And what it feels like, and you got to start with the quarterback buying in. Because most quarterbacks want to throw the ball. I mean, that's what they want to do. They go out there and sling it around the field and that sort of thing. So you need to have the most important guy, who is the quarterback and will always be the quarterback. He's the most important guy. He has to have a buy-in to it. Because if he buys into it, Spike, you know what happens? He's not out there playing hero football.
Trying to prove something.
Trying to prove that this is what I can do. I can do this. I can put the team on my back. I can make this throw. When you start to do that stuff, you start to make unnecessary throws and unnecessary risk, and you put your team behind the 8-ball. So as long as the QB is buying into that, everybody else eventually has to buy in it. And I know the receivers, at times, they may get frustrated with it. And for the most part, I give these guys a lot of credit this year for buying into it. It couldn't have been easy for AJ, Devontae, and even Dallas when he was healthy to buy into this heavy of a run game. And we saw that little frustration molehead peek itself out every once in a while.
Sure.
It peeked itself out every once in a while. Nothing that was disruptive, but to let it be known that, hey, well, I'm over here too. Like, I want to be a part of this thing too. And I get that. And you had to address that. But listen, this is do or die time now. You don't go to the dance and just because you see somebody that might look a little more attractive across the floor and start thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about. You go to the dance with the person that you came with, and that's who you dance with. That's what you dance with. This is how we chose to roll this year. This is how we're coming in here. I'm all about you tonight, baby. And I'm all about you. I don't care what she got on over there. I don't care what they look like over there. It's all about you.
215-592-9494.
Are we getting a throwback Ike? I mean, the reminiscing Ike?
I did have a little bit of a flashback right there. I got to admit. Can't lie.
Yeah, it felt like you were like you saw where
prom.
you were.
I was at the prom.
Yep.
And I was at homecoming with 2 dates that I had no real connection with. They weren't my girlfriends. I went to homecoming with a girl who was not my girlfriend, and we just went together as a court. Like she was she was running for queen, I was running for king. I was the most popular guy in the school, and she felt that was an easy ride to the championship. And it turned out to be true.
Yeah, she was riding your coattails.
Nah, she was riding the coattail.
Yeah, well, that's what me and Spike do.
Listen, she was very good looking. Don't get me wrong. I was happy to have her on my arm. She just wasn't my girlfriend. She actually had a boyfriend. And pretty much the same thing for prom.
Oh, really?
I went to prom with somebody who was not my girlfriend. My girlfriend was at another school.
Right.
Yeah, so they wanted to go
This guy's
yes.
what a big dog, man.
Yep.
What a big dog.
Girl in every school.
Yeah, man. Girls in different area codes, man.
Yeah.
High school, what a player.
215-610-484.
That's why I was a dad, too, at that time. Yeah. I became a dad.
So. All right.
It's called a big dose of D.
I wasn't that smart.